So we're playing as white, so that's quite nice. Feel like I've got some sort of advantage. Not, I really kind of prefer playing as black, I think, nowadays. I think that's probably why I was coming out a little bit tentative in this game. He just didn't know what to expect. So we pushed through on the centre with the pawn, and we brought the bishop out, attacking the king, and brought the bishop back. So feeling fairly happy and comfortable with this position. Just remember, this is 2016. At that time my opponent was rated 1637, I was rated 1255. So there's a massive difference in the ratings per se. So we bring the queen through and put a check on the king, keeping it all simple, straightforward. At that time, obviously, the answer process wasn't even a starting point, really. It was just a glimmer of hope that I could try and do some performance, so the answer wasn't here. So we took the queen off the board and the bishop caught back. So it's all simple development. So we bring the knight out now to get it activated, and we castle. All the basics seem to be covered off. At this point I really wasn't worried. I was more shocked at the simplicity of the position, because the queens were off and now we're down to the bare minimum of pieces, really. It's like the minor pieces and the rooks. This looks like it's going to be a kind of draw in my head. If he makes a mistake, I will try and punish him and go for the win, but I'm definitely not over-egging it now. This looks really simple. So he blocks off the bishop attacking the knight. So at this moment I really did think, wow, he's actually fearful of my moves. This is gonna be going well. So, but we don't want to get carried away. What we want to do is play a proper game, serious, knuckle down and focus on proper moves. So we bring the bishop through now, targeting the knight, and he's not interested in that. So we bring our knight through now, because we don't really want to double the pawns up, and we've done a reversal with the knight attacking the bishop. So they move the bishop out of the way, so now the bishop's acting like a pawn. So I'm like thinking, oh my days, this is going really well. So we bring our pawn up, just blocking off their bishop returning to the square, and then we simple capture, and then we attack the bishop. So we take the bishop off the board. So now it's getting more simplified, but we have to box clever here, because he's a very clever player. I've watched his games, I've played against him, and you know, he's really clever. He's shooting through the ranks like anything. So I'm thinking, just do what I do and just keep it as simple as possible. So we capture and capture. Bishop comes through now, and we capture, keeping it simple with a check on his king. Now we're looking at trying to improve our position. I didn't think actually going for the rook exchange and my king coming down here would have been beneficial for me at that time. Gauge bar saying it's minus 1.5 with that particular move. But the rationale for me bringing this rook here was to basically just come up here and try and stabilize protection of this pawn, and maybe start pushing these pawns up a little bit at a time, with the rook being adjacent to the king. It's a weird kind of psychology. I just thought maybe his pawns are a little bit better than ours in the center, and I was overthinking, I think, at that point. But again, I still wasn't worried about the position. I couldn't see the gauge bar when I was playing the game. I felt like I'd done the appropriate move to actually work my king and my rook and hopefully my bishop together. So they captured and we captured. So the rook comes down. It's got like a free pawn here, but in my head what I'm kind of thinking is, if I can get my bishop here and I can get my rook here, and we can get like a checkmate thing if he forgets himself, because his king won't be able to move to this square and won't be able to move to that square. So that is my rationale, and that was my thinking, and I thought, oh, this would be so nice if I could pull this off, because he's going to be chomping at the bit to get this pawn. Maybe, just maybe, we might get lucky. So we actually go and tantalise to see whether or not he's actually going to take the rook off the board. I didn't think he was going to, because this rook was going to be available. So we then bring the bishop up like we said, okay, in grand expectation of him taking our pawn here, because people like to greedy munch, don't they? So we bring the bishop up dead quick here. I think I should have taken my time with the bishop move, because it kind of sent hairs racing in his head. I could see a sort of like turn in the way that he put his body position. So I think if I'd have fought a little bit and then just slowly brought it up, rather than doing it quickly, like, oh, I've got this all set up. Gauge bar showing there's nothing set up. It's minus 2.6. Black is winning. As I said during the game, I didn't feel they were winning. So now we're trying to go for it. Okay, we're hoping that they've fallen asleep and that they don't see it. But they took a long time over this move, and then they saw it. So a little bit of magical, oh, I tell you, I would have loved it if that had gone in, but it didn't. Okay, so we're just trying again to just get around the back maybe and start snapping up some pawns. So he brings his rook back at this point in time. That's a plus for us, 0 point something. So now we're looking to attack the pawns around the back. We're trying to, in essence, try to change the trajectory of the rook somehow, still getting the checkmate position. So we bring the rook across, and he sees it again. Yeah. So it's a lovely position for the bishop. I thought it was quite fantastic against a higher rated player. You know, it's like 400 points higher than myself, you know. But these were the reasons why he was fearful of my play. I kind of find these kind of awkward looking positions which make him think, which is good because we're like good sparring partners. So decide to bring the king across now, basically looking to maybe block off this pawn in the center. So he's attacking our pawn, we can grab and then just reposition before the bishop can take this pawn here. We're ready to take here, and at this point in time I'm just saying to myself, this is really kind of a draw now. No point in going for the win. He's obviously wise to the fact that, you know, he's going to get checkmated if he doesn't keep his rook there. So we capture the pawn and reposition to capture their pawn, but we're not looking to exchange off. Just trying to attack more pieces that are unprotected, but if we don't take this rook now, and we do take, we might have a bit of an issue with this passed pawn coming down here. So we take the rook off the board, and it's all kind of simplified now. It's showing minus 0.1, 0.2 type thing. That's neither here nor there. So it's a matter now of being really clever with my position play and just getting my pieces elevated up onto white squares, so then at least the bishop can protect and serve and block down the area, so that then they can't be taken off the board. So we rush to get this pawn up, so we've got a nice little diamond shape, half diamond shape thing. So the king's just going to be bouncing backwards and forwards, blocking off the king's access to this pawn here. So they push down. So at this point here I did offer a draw, so obviously he's going to refuse the draw because he's got a pass pawn as well, but that pawn isn't going anywhere, I don't think. So they move the bishop, we move the king across, blocking the king's access again. Nothing's happening here because the bishop's protecting all these pawns. So we move the bishop, and then again I offered the draw. I know you're not supposed to keep offering the draws, but I'm like looking at the board and I'm going, it's kind of impossible for you to break through unless of course you sacrifice a piece of some sort. And so they move the king. So we bring the bishop back, and for the last time I offered the draw. So we move the bishop and move it down, and then he offered the mutual agreed draw. So that was our official over the board league game, our only official game that we've played over the board face to face, and it ended up being a draw, and they're 16-37 and 12-55.